Alright, what is up everyone? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Chris, and today, very short off season here, right? I mean, this is just crazy. It's September 8th. The draft was announced to be October 6th and 7th. Free agency is going to be 2 days later on October 9th. So it's a really quick turnaround for the Flyers, and as for the whole NHL as well. And again, it looks like there's been talk about, the training camp, which usually is in September, is going to be now starting in November. And then you have the tentative date for the start of next season being December 1st and all this stuff. The AHL looking at December 4th. I mean, I talked about that before, but there's just so much stuff going on here. And one thing I wanted to talk about was the offseason, and, that draft and the free agency, because the Flyers, they picked 23rd overall. So it's a really good pick in this draft. Again, it's a really deep draft this year. Really, the first and second round are really good. The Flyers could be getting some good players. They could move that pick. I will talk about that in a little bit. Could be a couple guys they sign in free agency. But again, I think the one thing we really got to start out with here is their cap space. They got $66,994. They got $1.5 million in long-term injured reserve there with guys like Patrick and Sam Moore. Those are the two guys in LTIR. But moving on, they have a couple UFAs, RFAs for this offseason starting here with the forwards. You got Thompson, Pitlick, Grant, and Aube-Kubel. And then you also have Patrick as well. So again, they will definitely sign Patrick. Probably the same thing. You can't really demand him much or anything more than that. As for Aube-Kubel, I think they'll sign him. I think he's had a really good season. And again, Aube-Kubel, really solid player that can help out with this team for years to come. As for Derek Grant and Nate Thompson, I don't think they will sign them. As for Pitlick, if they can get a team-friendly deal, I think they should definitely sign Pitlick. If they can sign him to the same contract he has now, which is, I believe it's 1 year, $1 million. Again, I would really like Pitlick to have that again for next season. I think he's played really good. I think he's played good enough to earn himself a contract extension. And honestly, one thing is that they may not sign him if they are looking at maybe somebody in free agency. I would, if they are looking at somebody, I'd rather them dump that money into a center, because again, I like Grant. I talked about this before. I like Grant because he's versatile, can play wing and center. Pitlick can't play center, so that is something that kind of stinks with Pitlick. But again, I really think he's played good enough to earn a contract extension, so we will see what happens there. As for the defense, you have Justin Braun is an unrestricted free agent. I don't think the Flyers sign Braun. I think it's honestly really unlikely that they do. And then you also have Hag and Myers being a restricted free agent. So I think Myers 100% will definitely get re-signed, no question. As for Robert Hag, I think the Flyers could really use Hag. I would like to see Hag as their 6-7 guy. I think that'd be huge. And again, you also have Brian Elliott being an unrestricted free agent. I definitely think the Flyers are going to re-sign Elliott again, probably 1 year deal. But again, I would not be surprised if the Flyers were to maybe go for a goaltender this offseason, with the goalie market being so huge. I mean, you have guys like Robin Leonard, Corey Crawford, Jacob Markstrom, Jimmy Howard. I mean, I can literally go on and on and on about some of these goaltenders here that are in this market. But again, there's a lot of things with the Flyers. They have retained salary. They have $1 million that they will be getting back here from the Radko Gudas trade, when they traded Gudas for Niskanen 1-for-1 with the 30% retain. So they'll get $1 million back there, and then you still have buyouts for McDonald and Schlemko, which is around $2 million right there. So again, as I said, the Flyers don't have much wiggle room. But again, I think there could be a couple guys here that the Flyers maybe do move out. As for Shane Gostisbehere, I think it might be time for the Flyers to really move Ghost. It looked like that with the way that the Flyers were with that power play, the power play was that bad. They didn't really even give Ghost a shot to come in. Honestly, I don't think it's really fair to him anymore, because again, he's a guy that, he's 27. He's still in the prime, in the prime of his career with age. His contract is really good, to be honest, for some teams. And again, I think one thing is that if you can get him in a hockey trade and you can get him in a good trade, then I think it would be okay, where if you're able to move him, then that would be fine. Again, I just don't really think it's fair to Ghost, and I think they could maybe try to package him in that first round pick this year for maybe they could maybe package that for a guy like, I don't know, maybe you throw something in for Patrick Laine. Not saying that would happen or that I think it could happen, but again, that might be something. I personally would like a guy like Nikolai Ehlers, because again, I really like the way Ehlers plays. They may have to give up a little bit more, because again, the cap is tight. Ehlers gets paid $6 million. Gostisbehere gets 4.5. So again, you're not really helping yourself with cap there. They could go for a guy like that. I'm not really sure if they will. I would really like them to. I think that would be huge, if they were to get some, because I think they need speed as well. And again, I think Ehlers is a guy who really brings that. As I just said, Nealers. Excuse me, I meant to say Ehlers there. But again, Ehlers, really solid player here for Winnipeg. I really enjoy him. I think he's a very good player. I mean, this season he had 71 games played, 58 points. In the playoffs, he had 2 points there, 2 goals in 4 games with Winnipeg. But again, I think Ehlers would be really nice for this Flyers team. And again, I think Winnipeg is also a team that could use defense in Gostisbehere, so that could be something as well, as they lost 3 defensemen last year in Bufflin, Myers, and Trouba, and they had a pretty good turnaround this year with losing those 3 guys. Still made the playoffs, ended up losing in the qualifying round to Calgary, but even still, that might be something as well there with Ehlers. Another guy I wouldn't mind the Flyers to add, because I think one thing that the Flyers need, and kind of what this playoff run showed, was that the Flyers, there was a couple holes that they had, and I think one thing is that, again, there was holes, but again, I think that would be a little bit, not as known if they had Patrick and Lindblom, that, if those guys were fully healthy. That's another thing. But again, I think the Flyers need a little bit of physicality. This guy, I think, brings it. Josh Anderson from the Columbus Blue Jackets. He's 26 years old. He's right-handed, 6'3", 220 pounds. He's a right winger, right-handed shot. He's a guy that put up 27 goals last season in 2018-19 with Columbus. He's a really good player. I think the Flyers could really use him well. They could use him on the power play, which is something that they may need as well. And again, that's kind of what Ehlers brings as well, as that power play guy. And again, you kind of really need that goal scorer. So again, a guy like Ehlers or Laine, something like that. But again, going back to Anderson, his cap hit right now is $1.8 million, and he is an RFA, so that would be the thing. You'd have to trade to acquire the rights, and then you'd have to sign him like the Flyers did with Kevin Hayes. So that is something there as well. I'm not really sure what the Flyers could give him. He might want a little bit of a bigger contract, but again, he's coming off a year where he only played 21 games this season, 26 games this season with Columbus, 1 goal, 3 assists, and 4 points. And again, he didn't really play much at all. So again, that might be something that goes into that contract. Maybe he can't really demand much because he was coming off an injury. That 1 goal he scored was against the Flyers. So again, that is one thing there as well. That goal was all the way back in October when he scored that against the Flyers on October 26th, when the Flyers were down 4-2 at home, and they ended up coming back and scoring 5 unanswered in the third period. But again, that could be something as well. As for, maybe a defenseman the Flyers could look at, honestly, I'd like the Flyers to get Matt Dumba. It was rumored the other day. I saw it by Michael Russo or something along those. I saw it on Twitter. It was a quote from Michael Russo. It wasn't posted by him, but it was something that the Wild were shopping Matt Dumba. That is somebody that I would really, really want the Flyers to go for. Dumba, he's very good. Very, very good defenseman. 26 years old. His cap hit is $6 million right now. Again, right-handed defenseman, young, in the prime of his career, 6 foot 180. I think it would really be something that could help the Flyers. It really solidifies that top pairing. Him with Provorov would be really nice. And again, you could still put, Matt Niskanen in your top 4 somewhere along those lines. Still got Sanheim, Myers, guys like Mark Friedman. That's something as well. They may not go for a defenseman. I would like them to, but again, you don't really know what's going to happen. If anything, I think if they were, you could maybe go for Matt Dumba or Brendan Montour, who's on the Sabres. He's also, and a free agent as well this offseason. That could be something. But as for Dumba, I think that would really be good for the Flyers. I think it's somebody that can really come in and help this team because, again, it really solidifies that top pair. But again, there's a lot of things that could happen. As for trades, again, I can maybe see the Flyers maybe packaging something. Maybe if you have to trade for Dumba, that might be something as well. Because again, if you have to trade him, because again he still has $6 million on his deal, so you can't sign him. But again, if you have to trade for him, I think one thing that they probably would have to do is maybe give it one of their top prospects there. Maybe a guy like Zamula, because again, I don't think they would really give up York. But again, Dumba's one of the Wild's best defensemen. I don't really see the Flyers, going for, I can't see the Flyers trying to go for him, but not really giving enough back, because again, he's one of the Wild's best defensemen. I think if you really want to land this, you're gonna have to give up something, and I don't want them to give up Cam York. I really don't want them to give up a guy like Ratcliffe or something like that. In my guess, it's probably you're gonna have to give up maybe Zamula, that first round pick definitely. I'm not really sure, but again, these are just a couple guys they could sign, a couple guys that they could trade for. Again, so you'd have to trade for all three of these guys that I mentioned, Dumba, Ehlers, and Anderson. But again, you'd have to sign. The only one you'd have to re-sign there would be Anderson, as he's a restricted free agent. Again, there's a lot of stuff there with Dumba and with these three guys. But again, let me know what you guys think below on that. Remember, guys, there's a lot of stuff that goes into it. And again, it's definitely is going to be a crazy offseason this year for the Flyers. So again, let me know what you guys think below. Remember, guys, podcast articles, those links are on my channel. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Let's see you guys in the next one, and goodbye.